Sorry we're late, but with the rules holding us up, what can you say? Anyway, Senator Thompson, would you do the invocation for us today?
Sure. All right, let us pray. Gracious Heavenly Father, we thank you for this day. Lord, we thank you for the privilege to come before you and do the people's work. Lord, I pray that you'll be with each one of us. Help us to not only enjoy serving you, but serving the people of Georgia. And I pray that you'll be with us as we deliberate today. Help us to have ears to hear and the wisdom to be able to deliberate. And we give you the praise in your name. Amen.
Amen.
I'm not sure what's wrong with this.
All right, we're going to go with the chairman first of Ways and Means, Shaw Blackman, if you want to go up to the podium, or you can sit there if you'd rather do that. Yeah, the podium's usually what we do. So yeah, that's going to be 1437. Now we have a sub to this, but I told him he could present what they had done to the committee, but I also told him if he took too long, he's going to kill a bill of his fellow House members. So I think he'll be kind of quick.
Yes, sir. Mr. Chairman, always a pleasure to be in front of you and your committee. I want to thank you for all the hard work you put in on House bills this session. We greatly appreciate it. Bring before you House Bill 1437. It is a tax cut. We call it the Tax Reduction and Reform Act of 2022. Having talked to a number of stakeholders, including CPAs and economists, and looking at some of the suggestions and proposals of past bills and the past tax council, we came up with a bill that would flatten and lower the rate to 5.25, which is a half point lower than the highest currently. We raised the standard, what is called exemption in this particular case, up to 12 and 24 with a $3,000 dependent exemption. And we roll all of the other exemptions up into that, including the itemization, and they're allowed to exercise that standard personal exemption as well. I guess, one of the strongest selling points, I think, is the competitiveness that we see in our region and what we're able to accomplish by lowering that rate and simplifying the code, making it fair and saving taxpayers across the board dollars, especially at lower and middle income. So, Mr. Chairman, I'd be happy to try to answer any questions. I would note that the Tax Foundation has put out there that we would move on personal income from 35th, I think, in the country, or at least it's estimated from 35th to 12th in our rankings, and then on overall income from 32nd to 16th, something of that nature. I know that you and I have talked a great deal about it, and I appreciate your input. The unlimited chairables over and above, I think, is a point where we have had some discussions and see some room for potential changes. Otherwise, that's the bill, and I know you said you had a substitute. Tried to be as quick as I could. Thank you, sir.
All right, we appreciate you presenting that, and I won't make you stand up there for hours if you'd like to sit down. And Chairman Blackman and I have spent too much time on even Sundays. I think I've spent more time on him on a couple of Sundays than my wife. So we've both been working on different things here, and so he's got a good proposal out there. We've looked at an alternative and working with Dr. Dorfman, our state economist, and some others on this. And so the bill that we've got is a phase-in rate that would go from the 5.75 to eventually 4.99 over a number of years. Though some people would get the 4.99 right off the bat. The phase-in starts at the bottom and works its way to the top. It includes a EITC that is non-refundable, equal to 10% of the federal credit. And there are exemptions go up from $7,400 to $11,400 for married, from $2,700 to $4,700 for head of household and single, independent stay at $3,000. Now their bill stopped itemization, but then allowed charity, and I think that's it's a very difficult thing to not have some people paying higher taxes under that situation. We were trying really hard to not have anybody pay higher taxes So we're not really changing anything in ours about the itemized. It would all stay the same. However, we are capping the SALT, that's the state and local income, at 10,000, which it is right now. Looking ahead, if the federal government were to make some changes there, it could have a big hit on the state of Georgia. So this is just a protective move, depending on what they do. And then in ours, because of wanting to be cautious, we're phasing it in totally over 8 years, but we have some triggers in there. We're saying we've got to have 3% growth, and we're saying that the revenue has to be higher than the last 5 years. Now, it could only be a penny higher, but the concern there was if, say, you had a drop of 20%, and then the next year you're 3% higher, you're in big trouble, and we felt like it should at least be higher than anything we've had, so that we don't have it coming back from that. And there has to be enough money in the reserve fund to pay for the cut. So starting the first year, the 4.99 applies to 20,000 and under for married, and then it phases its way up in the bill eventually to 350,000. The next year there is no cap. Dr. Dorfman had said by year 2 to 3, maybe 2 years, over half the Georgians will only pay the 4.99% rate, but everybody will get more income each year that's taxed at 4.99 because everybody's getting a tax cut from that as it works its way up. And then the other item in this is that the film tax credits will be capped at $900 million starting in January of 2023. That's the basic substance of the bill. We obviously know that this is going to go back and forth in the House and Senate, but I think that's the position we had worked on over here, and I think we worked, with leadership and with our state economist trying to put a good plan in place that's prudent and that actually will help people at the bottom and then work its way up. So, questions from the committee?
Comment?
Go ahead.
Just a comment, Mr. Chairman. I want to thank you for all the great work you've done on this. We compare ourselves often to North Carolina, who has lowered their rate to 3.99 and to phase it out. And this is a great step forward to keep Georgia number one place to do business and be responsible and transparent. So thank you for your hard work on this bill.
Thanks. All right, Senator Hickman.
Yes, sir. Thank you. Just a couple of quick things. One thing I want to clear up, I had several people ask me, did this affect businesses? And of course, this does not affect any businesses at all. So if you're an S corporation or a partnership or something like that, this does not have any effect on the mortgage introduction. The second thing, you cleared up, my biggest concern was the growth in the economy and how we were going to make sure, because I think initially, Mr. Representative, this was like $1 billion a year tax cuts, my understanding was. And of course, my concern was that if the economy did not grow at the level we've grown in the past, how would that affect? So I really do appreciate the triggers and the thought process on that. Thank you.
And thank you. And I will comment on that too, that the first year cost is about 200 and something million, and that's independent of the film tax credits. I think that could be an issue as well, but it sort of steps it up, and it has triggers in there that make sure we protect everything. Are you number 2?
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate your efforts on this, and thank you, Chairman Blackman, for all the hard work y'all have done in the House. And Mr. Chairman, at the appropriate time, I'd like to make a motion do pass at the appropriate time.
All right, well, we can take that motion and then have further discussion if we need it. So we've got a motion, Senator Jones, a second by Senator Albers. Discussion. Hang on, you're number 11 or 12 or?
About number 11.
Okay.
Were there additional implications on the film tax credit transferability and anything else? Anything
yes.
else on that?
Yes, they at that point would not be transferable. Okay, go ahead.
Thank
You're
you.
number 10.
Yes, 10. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And I know how much you've been laboring to address all the issues that this bill, which was passed with great haste in the House and now comes to us in the Senate. I know you have been working mightily to this end of House Bill 1437 committee substitute, and very much appreciate that. I feel that this is, and I've voiced this before, the film tax credits are capped at $900 million. Here, less than 24 hours after the Oscars. And 75,000 people working in this industry in this state. And I just feel very cautionary about our whacking this tax credit that's made us the third highest state in the country for film activity, $4 billion in our economy every year. So it's hard to have a comfort level with that being added in to all the other. It just seems incautious to me.
Well, it's way higher than the average for the last 5 years on that film tax credit, but it just keeps growing, and I could get into the things we're paying for private jets and chefs and personal trainers and stuff that probably needs cleaning up, but I don't necessarily have to get in that discussion right now. But,
I understand.
But I think we need some limitations on it.
I just feel like we've never heard, the industry did not speak the other day when we had a bill before us and amended it, and to not have that industry have an opportunity to articulate their concerns and their
We'll
situation.
probably have a lot of concerns over the next week or so as we work between the two together.
I'm sure. And then the other question I had, I know, and mind you, many of us are seeing this rewrite, the Senate version, before us for the first time. So I know that in the bill as it came from the House was giving the 50,000 earners with the top incomes, $725,000 million a year, $1,000 a year, I think. They got the lion's share of the tax cut relief, and I don't know how that's shifted now. We're not looking at a fiscal note.
Well, again, I'm saying that it starts. The 4.99 starts at 20,000 the first year, then it goes up to 35,000. It ratchets its way up. So the people at the top would actually get that last. However, they're all going to be getting that. If it goes up 15,000, then everybody gets the lower rate for those 15,000.
And further question, I know in the original version, I don't know how the substitute addresses it, but mortgage, you can no longer claim your mortgage payment.
We're not touching itemization at all in this bill.
Contrary to
that one, yes.
The House bill.
That's correct. We're not doing anything. They were giving a deduction, and they said you could still do charitable deductions.
Right.
So it's sort of a hybrid plan. This one just doesn't touch that at all this year.
Thanks for that clarity.
All right. Any other questions from other committee members? Okay. Sure. Okay.
I mentioned that $300 million of our plan is based on the charitable deduction, which is about $4.7 billion to go to charities. So we still have 63%.
You probably need to get to a mic so you can be heard. Okay.
I think what we've seen is 63% of the people of the taxes are paid by the top end, and so the cut's a little less than that for the top end, but 300 million of that is for charitable deductions. I think the bottom 20% pay overall about $136,000 annually in income tax under this plan. And I would also, I guess, what was your second question? Senator, I'm sorry.
I have it. One was around the film tax credits, which is in the Senate version.
Yes, ma'am.
That is before us. And the other was around the mortgage.
Oh, yeah. We did roll. The average mortgage interest that's taken is about $5,600, and then charitables for family is about $2,500. So we rolled that into that personal exemption, which is much higher than what it is currently, and match it up with the standard. And that all kind of balanced with what the what's going on to a certain degree at the federal level. So.
Well,
All right, we're gonna have to
we don't
move
have
on.
time for it anymore, do we?
We really don't. I think we're ready to go ahead and have a vote on this. All those in favor, if you would raise your hand. Okay, and all those opposed. We've got one opposed, so two opposed. I'm sorry, I missed you. Sorry. 3. You voted twice, didn't you? Okay. All right, three in opposition, motion carries. And we will move on to the next item, as we are probably not going to get to all of these. I'll be. All right, we're gonna go to House Bill 1421 next. I hope this can go fairly quickly. What this is can y'all? We got to be able to hear over here. We House Bill 1421. We passed out a bill dealing with the Hazardous Waste Trust Fund from Senator Robertson, and we heard from Representative Buckner. And what we're doing here is we're combining the two together. I think everybody was good with her bill as well. And the administration had said that they didn't see it affecting the 1% cap, but the dollar amount was so low. So we have vetted that bill. We've passed out Senator Robertson's, and I would like to pass the two together to see if we can get both of them passed out. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay, yes.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Quick question, because I haven't read the committee sub, and I understood that this was the path we were taking. Did that, in the sub, does it change anything about the original Roberts bill as we passed it?
We had changed the original Roberts bill when we passed it out, took the shall and made it a may.
That's right.
That's exactly the same way.
That was my question. Thank
Okay.
you so much.
Any other questions? If not, anybody that's ready to make a motion, we can do that on this one.
Second.
Second by Senator Orrock. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, thank you.
We're done with that.
I learned not to speak on a bill. I do better.
Okay,
Hang on, I'm getting it now. Let's see what you're doing on.
I don't think, oh no, you are here. I was going to say Representative Martin, I wasn't sure if he was here. We're going to look at your House Resolution 732. I think we had vetted this out, and I thought we had actually had a vote on it. It turns out we didn't. So this one just simply says that counties have, instead of from the end of the calendar year, that they would have 12 months. And I believe everybody was good with that, but any questions anybody has on that one if you were here for the meeting?
Pretty straightforward.
Okay. We vetted this before, everybody was good with it, so
Right.
I think we'll go ahead and entertain a motion on this.
Would you pass?
Okay, second by Senator Thompson. I believe he jumped in there ahead of you, Senator Hickman. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None opposed.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That proves the statement less is more is appropriate down here.
We've had a couple of late subs, so I'm trying to make sure we stay organized on this. All right, we've got, let me look here and see if I'm missing one. 428, 1039. Yeah, I guess I could go ahead with 428 next.
Yeah, thanks.
All right, Representative Martin, since you're here, if you want to present 428. This one has not been vetted by the committee. Oh, okay. Well, it's not so much my language as it was. Sure. All right, we'll let Senator Alvarez do it.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. This is a substitute bill you have for House Bill 428 in front of you. As most of you are aware, in both the construction and expansion of the aquarium as well as the National Center for Civil and Human Rights, we exempted the sales tax for them to continue to build and expand those. This simply does it for both of those to continue expansions, as well as lure additional tourism and give free admission to low-income students. Pretty straightforward bill, something we've done in the past, and we're just extending that out. You'll see that that goes out until August 1st, 2025.
All right, y'all need to look that over. This is sort of a renewal of some things from the past.
And Senator, to be clear, the underlying bill no longer was needed and does not exist as part of this. Is that
It became
not
a
true?
vehicle. That's right.
Right.
Thank you.
All right.
Make a motion at the
Any
appropriate time.
questions of the committee? If not, Senator Alberts, I think, is ready to make a motion.
Move to pass?
Second, Senator Rhett. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? I believe Senator Orrock left the meeting and didn't vote on this one, so we'll have her as leaving the room on this one.
It's such a wonderful tax conversation going on over here.
Well, it's not the appropriate time.
Understood. So he's now
Okay, I guess we'll move on now to 1291. And a sub has been prepared on this. This has not been vetted. So are you presenting that or who?
I didn't know if Representative Smith needed to talk about the bill initially, and then I'll come back and close it out. I think there's parts of the bill that
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. 1291 is a continuation of a tax credit that's been on the books a number of years. Companies that use high-tech, do the high-tech business, and this bill simply says it's on the hardware. It's not on the software, cell phones, iPads, things of that nature. It's been used by a number of businesses. It's used to attract businesses here. Economic development uses this to attract these high-tech businesses to the state. Have one in my area, matter of fact. And $15 million is the threshold. You'll notice in the bill that they pay 10% of that first $15 million. They pay tax on that, and then they get the exemption once they hit the $15 million. So be glad to answer any questions. It's been a great tool over the years. Some companies like UPS, Home Depot, Global Payments that's down in my area have used this incentive, and it has really been a draw for companies to come here. Thank you.
Question?
Go ahead, sure.
Do we have a fiscal note on that, Representative Vance? Is there a fiscal note on that bill?
Well, we've had a fiscal note when the bill first started, and then we did not do another one. We had a fiscal note back when they didn't pay any tax, and now they're paying that 10% up to the $15 million.
So we don't have a current fiscal note
Not
this
on the
bill?
current bill.
Thank you.
And I was trying to get one because one wasn't requested from the House. Hang on just. We're gonna pass out something that's not this particular bill, but it's part of the answer, so we'll hang on while we pass that out.
Yes, sir.
You know, I don't know the answer to that. I think we should have a fiscal note on these, but I need a copy too.
That was the one that just did the date. Are you kind of in conflict with this one?
No, we're not doing it.
Okay, so we're on the floor. I'm gonna get back with
Yeah.
it and do that if you don't need me. Thank
No.
you very much.
All right, we're gonna take a minute here and look at this fiscal note. This would be only, I believe, for the data centers. Well, actually, this may be the only one for the. So this one would actually be, I said that backwards, I believe we're just looking at the high-tech companies and not the data centers, the only information we've been able to receive right now. And it's, about 80 million to 90 million a year in that range for that part of the bill. This is for the high-tech, I believe, yeah. No, that's, make sure the committee knows as well as no fiscal notes, I don't think were requested on these bills on the House side. We requested fiscal notes. This is a combined bill of two things. We did get a fiscal note in on the high-tech data centers part of this bill, which is in the 80 to $90 million range for state government, and also has an effect on local government of around 70 million or so. And then the data centers would be additional, and that is the fiscal note we're still waiting on. Mm-hmm. Can you what now?
I just wanted to talk about the sub. That's
Okay.
the appropriate time.
Go ahead and have a discussion on that.
First, this bill has really combined two bills into one. One was the high-tech technology companies. That's Section 2. Section 1 of the bill basically sunsets the program. Section 2 creates the 5-year extension. Section 3 of the bill deals with the high-tech data centers, which are considered co-location. So you have hundreds of businesses that are using one data center to handle all of their data needs. So there's two different type bills into one. One deals with standalone companies like an Amazon, Home Depot, or whomever. The other one deals with standalone data centers like what we saw built out in Douglas County, where they've spent in excess of $1 billion. These incentives are critical in order to attract these companies and these data centers. I can assure you every state around us has a more lucrative incentive because they're longer. They don't sunset as short as ours. And the problem we're seeing is they're trying to negotiate 10-year and 20-year agreements with these companies in order to get this exemption. We can't just keep doing it 1, 2, 3 years at a time. We need to extend it out as long as possible so Georgia's more competitive. Florida doesn't offer the incentive simply because of the threat of hurricanes. It makes it unstable for the data centers because of the loss of energy and the loss of internet. So you're not seeing the incentive in Florida, but all the other states around us have offered as good or better incentives. So we need to, in order to stay competitive with these high-tech companies and these data centers, we have to extend this exemption on sales tax. That's all it does.
All right, hang on. All right, no side conversation. Speak to the committee. Senator Albers.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. A couple of points of note here. We actually worked on the data center tax credit, and it was a 10-year, which is twice as long as we normally do, and it goes until 2028, which is 6 years from now. Second thing is on line 107, we're taking it down to 5 jobs. 5 jobs. That math doesn't work. So I appreciate that, but we also have a process now from Senate Bill 6 last year to measure these, which is, I believe this is one of the ones we are targeting to measure this coming year. Prior to something that started out as 10 years, that has 6 years left and extending it yet many more years, why would we not simply just measure this first and then come back? We have a deficit of about 50,000 high-tech workers in Georgia today. That means there's 50,000 more jobs than there are people. So I don't think we're having a problem wooing in the jobs and the companies that are here at this point. Seems to me between that and the lack of a fiscal note, and even if we use this current fiscal note for the first part of this bill, over 5 years, that's $411 million of state tax. It's $350 million of local tax. That's $761 million, over $750 million in the next 5 years. That's an awful lot of money to have an out-of-date fiscal note for. So, thank you.
Chairman Hubstone. Let me address a couple of things that Senator Albers talked about. One, on line 107, that particular area of 5 jobs is talking about the smallest threshold in the bill. So this bill in current law was established in 3 tiers. If you guys remember, when we created this program 3 or 4 years ago, we wanted to incentivize the data centers to go out in the rural areas. Data centers don't create a lot of jobs. They do on the front end when they're building these massive facilities. You're talking about hundreds and thousands of jobs for the construction phase. The sales tax, the property tax, all of that is being applied to all this investment up front. The exemption that we're talking about in this bill is the sales tax on the equipment for the computers and the servers and the racks and so forth. They don't create a lot of huge numbers of jobs. This particular line 107 is with a county of 30,000 or fewer people. That's your most rural parts of the state. I can assure you any county government that has an opportunity to attract a data center that's going to spend $25 million minimum up to $100 to $200 million, they're going to jump at that with every ounce of energy they have. These are high-paying property owners. They're paying their local taxes. They do pay for jobs. They do have the employees that help build the plants. Those are local contractors as well. So this is a good incentive for our rural parts of the state. We need to keep this program in place. It's very effective. It's very competitive with other states around us. If we don't extend this sunset, we could jeopardize this investment and future investments in the data center business.
All right, Senator
Thanks,
Albers.
Mr. Chairman. Thank you, Senator Gooch. If it's so good and it's still in the books for 6 years, they'll get a chance to brag and measure it. And if it's so good, we might want to even expand it. But why would we do something 6 years earlier when we can simply measure it and understand what we have today?
If we take testimony from the people out in the audience, you're going to hear them say that in order to get these companies to invest here, they have to have long-term commitments. They can't make $1 million, $10 million, $100 million, or $1 billion decisions on a 3 or 5 year decision. It has to be 10 years or longer. So if we're going to compete for this business, we have to be competitive with our neighboring states.
But Senator, if that was true, then we wouldn't be the #1 place to do business and sunsetted most of our tax credits at 5 years to begin with.
We're now the #3 business in the country for data centers because of this tax credit, according to C.B. Richard Ellis. So that is a fact. So our policy's working. Let's not kill the goose that laid the golden egg.
Just to be clear, this doesn't kill anything. We have a tax credit for 6 more years in current law.
Disagree with you.
All right, Senator Hickman, you wanted to step in on this?
Yeah, I just want to make just a statement. I try to look at the big picture, some of this stuff, and the 3 to 5 jobs don't really bother me as much as how many additional jobs are created as a result of those 3 to 5 jobs, or 5 to 10 jobs, whatever it is. So, and I know in a lot of these rural tax credits, sometimes the actual operation itself may be 15 or 20 jobs, but then by the time the suppliers and all come in to supply those operations, you could be, 50 to 100 jobs. So when you look at this stuff, I wish we would kind of evaluate the economic impact of this organization rather than just the pure jobs that's right at that location.
Sure.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. And it is true we're number one place in the country to do business. It's also true that we have a workforce issue, but when you get into the rural areas, that's where they really need the jobs. And frankly, right now, we are roaring as an economy, but the truth of the matter is we may not be roaring in the future. And so we put investment in areas that are around the Atlanta area to sustain a downturn, but these rural areas need that same investment so they can weather a storm that we know is coming because it's cyclical.
All right, and to be clear, there's none in the rural areas right now. I think there's some incentive in here to put them in the rural area. There's nothing in the bill that says they will be in rural areas, so I just want to be clear on that point. Okay, Senator Gooch.
Just for clarification, this sub was written over the weekend. I think there were negotiations between the chairman and the lieutenant governor's office and the industry. So this isn't something that just came in this morning, spur of the moment, that I pulled out of my hat. So this has been negotiated. I think everybody downstairs supports it, and I think it's something we need to push and pass it out of the Senate.
Now, I was told that it was going to be 2031 on the
That is,
other.
I have an amendment to change that back 2 years to 31. You're correct. So at the appropriate time, we'll make those amendments. But
Okay, any other discussion by the committee? All right, well, I guess we'll entertain a motion right now.
do you want the amendments?
Sure.
Okay. So Chairman Huffstetler was correct. It's not 2033, it's actually 2031. So if you'll look on section 3, and there's about 3 or 4 places where this will be made. Line 85, you'll see 2028 was struck through, then 2033 was underlined. We want to strike 2033 and insert 2031 on that line. Okay, and then at line 94, at the bottom of that same page, same strike 2033 and replace it with 2031. Over on line 101, page 5, at the end of that line, strike 2033 and replace it with 2031. And line 109, same strike 2033, replace with 2031. And then on line 12 at the end, it says this paragraph shall stand repealed by operation of law on January 1, 2034. That should be 2032. So we basically moved everything back 2 years to help satisfy Senator Albert's concern. So we can vote for the bill.
Don't count on it. But thank you.
All
Just
right,
try.
we've offered an amendment. Is there a second to the amendment? Second by Senator Thompson. So we would need a motion on the full bill at this point. All right, we have a second. Senator Rhett. All those in favor, raise your hand
It's on
on the full bill. Well, you know what? We didn't do a vote on the amendment, so let me back up. All those in favor of the amendment, raise your hand. Okay, those opposed to the amendment, raise your hand. Okay, three opposed. So now the full bill is up. All those in favor of the bill as amended, raise your hand. Okay, we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opposed. We've got 4 opposed, so it passes 6-4. I did agree to let this be the will of the committee. However, I will say I share Senator Albert's concerns on this, and would like to see a better process on this.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you.
Motion carries. right, we've got one more bill here. Is Representative Cooper, you want to present this? Sure. Up at the podium, I guess, would be good. And let me say, as a healthcare provider, I really appreciate all the work you do on healthcare on so many areas. Looking out for the least of these in many cases, too. So thanks for your work.
Thank you, Senator. It means a lot coming from you since you are also a health care provider. Thank you. Committee, I bring to you a substitute to House Bill 1039. That's why it looked like Senator Jackson was going to be in. We've substituted it. This is a bill to sunset a tax credit that we have for physicians at the end of this year, and then to start it and just expand it so that it's not just related to physicians, but it includes nurse practitioners and PAs, in trying to get more healthcare workers of that caliber in rural Georgia. It was at $5 million total expenditure possible. Physicians were only using about $900,000 a year, so we dropped that amount to $2 million. And it's for a tax credit of $5,000. They can do it for 5 years. It cannot, if they only can use $3,800, then that's all they would get, and it doesn't carry forward. And that's the bill. We're trying to help our rural communities have better access to good quality health care.
And I remember this bill from the past, and some of the issues were having slots for residency, for letting nurses into hospital, things like that. I said at the time, I feel like that's part of my job, and I wouldn't take advantage of any of these tax credits. But not everybody feels that way, I guess. Just a minute. Let me see. All right. Senator Orrock, go ahead.
He was asking the bill number. I'm not having any luck.
Oh, okay.
1039.
We're
sorry.
looking at House Bill 1039. This is LC 432407S. Okay.
Now I'm on the same page.
Sorry.
So your opinion is this will help out in which ways?
Yes, sir. I was a little concerned when Ways and Means wanted it to come down from $5 million possible to $2 million. But they said that if we get that many takers, which would be wonderful, that we would utilize $2 million of it, that we would come back and ask for it to be expanded if we can, get that many people to use it in order to go to rural areas. And I will tell you, we are making progress. For the first time, there is now a new midwifery school at the college in Milledgeville, which should help us in getting more midwives, registered nurses first, and then midwives that are highly trained to help with our shortage of OBGYNs in different counties, and to work in tandem with that. So we are making some progress.
All right. Any questions of the committee? Did you have a question?
Yes.
All right. Is you number 12?
Yes, sir, Mr. Chairman. Madam Chair, you
Yes,
said
sir.
there's a new midwifery school in Milledgeville?
In Milledgeville.
The name of the school?
Oh,
Tell me the name of the college.
whatever they've changed the name of the college in Milledgeville.
Okay.
Pardon? Georgia College? Okay.
So that's an advanced program after nursing? So that's an advanced program after the nursing program?
The nurse midwifery program, yes, sir.
Okay. Thank you, Madam Chair. I didn't know that.
Okay.
Any other questions from the committee? If not, we can entertain a motion. We've got a motion and a second by Senator Jackson. Any discussion? All in favor say aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Thank you for coming over.
Thank you very much.
I believe that's all the business we have for today, so we will be adjourned. Thank you all for staying with us.